Hey, what's up everyone? This is gonna be quite a different video because today it's not a sniper rifle that I'm unboxing and playing with, but it's gonna be the SSR249. Our first LMG, quite excited to open it. It's a big box, quite heavy. So let's get straight to it. Now in this video, I will show you what I do as my preparation before the game. But at the end of the video, you will also see me actually playing this gun and, you know, spraying lots of BBs towards people. The box comes like this. We're gonna open it right away. Oh my god, too big for the camera. The replica comes disassembled, so the stock is here separated. So you get the stock, you get assembly hardware. You also get a 2-joule spring here on the 1.5 joule version. So depending on the field, you can just swap out the spring. It is a quick spring exchange system and it's actually really toolless. You don't need any tool to put that spring inside. We have the magazine and then we have the SSR249 itself. Below it, Birkening rod, very important. And then the user manual. The box can go away. There you can see it. Now, first of all is the stock assembly, and for this you will get a guide here where you can find the manual. You have an assembly guide, and when it comes to the manual, it looks very minimalistic, but actually there's a QR code and this brings you to an academy where we talk about all kinds of stuff. How do you disassemble this gun? How do you run it? How do you just hop up? All of this. If you're not familiar with LMGs and this is your first LMG or maybe your first AG, which I doubt, your first AG should not be an LMG, go check out these guides. There's lots of useful stuff that will help you to get the best out of this platform. Good. Stock assembly. We just follow the guide that I just showed you, but obviously I know it without the guide. First is the stock installation. For this you unscrew some screw right here. Take out the pin. Then you can use the front side adjustment tool. That's this plastic tool here. You can use this to push out the lower pin, because you want to clear that hole for the stock to go in. So I basically pull out this pin, put it in the stock. And now that pin that you just removed, put it back in. Put the thumb screw to secure it. And now the bottom one, you can push it through again. This one right here. Tool to really get it through. There we go. And now you want to secure this pin with a C-clip, because right now I could still pull it out, but obviously I don't want to lose it. The C-clip you will find in the included bag. And you want to put that on here and just push it into place. It's gonna be hard with just a finger, so use any you know, anything with a hard surface and push the clip on. Hope you can see that. Good, now the stock is attached and I can do all that. I can collapse it, I can take it out and shoulder the 249. Next is the magazine installation. Magazine is this one right here. Very proud of this creation. Really, this magazine solves so many issues. If you were ever running an LMG, you know the pain of the magazines. There's, you know, the whole gear train breaking. It's this modified high caps with a motor. This magazine is different. That's a dedicated system just designed for LMGs. It's really made from the ground up. Easy to access magazine compartment. You can also, and as funny as this sounds, but you can actually install it onto your gun, and then you can plug in the feeding part, which seems like an obvious thing to do, but I think we're the first ones to actually make that happen. You can just pull out the feeding part by pressing this lever here. Pull out the feeding part. Good. And then you can change the mag. So with the 249, what you could theoretically do is run multiple of these magazines, which is Really not needed because, you know, many BBs fit inside this magazine, but you could. Click it back in. Now, very important when you do this is, you know, it's very tempting on this magazine to actually pull on this part, but you have to be careful with this because inside these springs is cables for the microphone. Now the magazine here has a, you know, little microphone installed, and this is basically listening to the gun, you know, like this, it's inside the gun, and it's listening to the gearbox. So when it hears the gun shooting, it starts winding and feeding BBs. And the cable for this microphone is running inside this pull spring here. On the other pull spring is the BBs. And now why am I mentioning all of this? If you pull really hard on this part, at some point the cable will be too short, and on previous LMG magazines, actually you killed your soldering on the microphone, you broke it off. What we did is we put a connector inside the magazine. So if you pull too hard on this, the microphone just disconnects. Then you have to open the magazine, you know, just open that cover, you unscrew these 6 screws, you look inside, you connect the microphone again, and you're good to go. But you can avoid all of this by just not ripping on this further than, you know, I can even go further than this. Inside here you can actually see the cable. I'm not sure if you can see it. Yeah, here you see the cable running. Just don't pull in it. While I already have this open, I can show you the battery installation. Now this magazine runs on a 9-volt battery. To open the window, you just put your fingernail inside here. You can already see the cable. And this is where you connect your 9-volt battery, which I have here. This will not be included in the SSR249, but we're also offering it on the store, or you can get these anywhere really, in any convenience store. Just plug it in like so. And one thing that we found is that 9-volt batteries, their standard of the connectors are a little bit different across the world. So depending on where you live, it could happen that your female connector is not tight on the male part of the battery. Not on this one, but if that is the case on yours, basically you have to bend together that top portion. It's quite easy, you know, you just take pliers. I can show you just for the sake of showing you. You just bend this together a little bit. Not much, it's very easy. You might even be able to do it with your hands actually. Maybe you don't even need pliers. It's quite easy. Good, and now it's gonna be an even tighter fit on this one. A little bit too tight. Oh yeah, good. Okay, you can already hear the magazine. Not sure if you heard it, but if I knock the microphone, or if I blow on it, you will hear the magazine winding. And when you put the battery back in, make sure that you don't squeeze any of the cables, that it's all nice and tidy in there. And now you can close the cover. On the magazine, you find 3 different positions. I'm not sure if you can read it. Here it basically says auto, in the middle it says off, and to the right it says sound. During the game, you want to run this on sound mode. This means that, again, when I make noise, the magazine starts running. Middle position is off. You know, this is to save battery and because you don't want your magazine winding every time you slam a door at home. And then auto is just constant feeding. This is for testing purposes and so on, but you don't really need this in game. Good. Also on the inside here of this magazine, you will find a Allen key. We made a little loop here. And the reason why we included an Allen key is because you need this Allen key for the battery installation into the body of this AEG. Now this is a standard Allen key, nothing special. In case you ever lose it, then you can just get a different one. But you shouldn't lose it in the first place because we made you here this dedicated loop where you can just insert it, close the magazine pouch, and you're good to go. Now during the game, you never have to open this part actually, because the refilling of this magazine happens here on the side of the magazine. This is also something that we improved to previous magazines. I think I have one here actually. On previous designs, you had to open the textile cover, and only then you get to the refilling window, this one right here, which that can be quite difficult, you know, to really land the BBs in there, as you've seen with all the BBs coming out. So on this one, you just click it in. Okay, we will keep hearing this magazine winding from all the clicks. Just push it in place. And there we go. Before chroning the 249, I want to clean the barrel. For this, I will adjust the hop up to 0. And to see your hop up setting, you can look at this little window here. I think it's going to be hard to see on camera. But basically, when you look from the top at this window, you will see numbers on the hop up dial and where your hop up setting is. So for cleaning the barrel, I bring it all the way to 0. Because now when it's at 0, I will not, you know, mess with the hop up when I push through the cleaning towel. Now you can use the include a cleaning rod, or you can also use, if you have our maintenance kit, you can also use the collapsible cleaning rods, because these are always a bit of a pain to transport to the field. You know, you break them and so on. So you have this collapsible version. Cleaning the barrel is not absolutely needed before the game. It's more of an optional thing, but if you want best accuracy possible, then, you know, take the time and just do it. You can use any tissue really, but I personally prefer these wipes that are included in the maintenance kit, because they don't leave any residue in the barrel, you know, no little flakes that might then block the BBs. But again, tissue usually works just fine. Cut out a little piece, fold it and put it through the barrel cleaning rod. And now what you want to do is use rubbing alcohol, because rubbing alcohol helps you to dissolve the remaining oils in the barrel, you know, all the stuff that comes from, you know, the gearbox. There's grease on the gears, grease in the piston, and when you shoot the gun, it actually goes into the barrel of the gun. And you want to get rid of all of that dirt and grease. Especially on an LMG, I recommend doing this after every game, because you're gonna be shooting a lot with this kind of support replica. When you clean the barrel, you don't want to feel too much resistance on the barrel cleaning rod. You know, with 2 fingers, it should be easy to move the barrel cleaning rod. If it's too hard, that means you wrap the tissue too much and there's too much resistance. You know, if you then force it in, you could maybe mess with the hop-up rubber. So don't do that. This replica is actually clean. It's a brand new gun, so, you know, still a couple hundred BBs were shot through it in factory QC, so never a bad idea to do that. Now I can put the hopper back to, you know, something that I would use it in game. Let's say position number 6, which is, you know, somewhere in the middle. And now we're gonna put BBs inside. One side note for the 0.5 Joule version, now that's the full auto version for Germany, because they're not allowed to use anything stronger in full auto. The full range of the hop-up wheel is not applicable. This hop-up wheel goes up to the number 9, but anything upwards from 6, you shouldn't use it on the 0.5, because the BB will get stuck and the gearbox doesn't have enough power to push the BB through. You will definitely hear it. The replica will just not sound clean, but in general, just avoid those heavier settings. On the 0.5, we only recommend 0.2 gram BBs. That gives you the nicest trajectory and the best range. Also, the BBs come to the target much faster. You can run 0.25 grams, but we have had the best results with 0.2 gram BBs. And again, on the 0.2, just stick to the hop-up settings from 1 to 6. In there, you will find the perfect trajectory for your 0.2. To fill the BBs, just open the door here on the side. There we go. And now you can basically pour almost a whole bag of these into this replica. And there we go. Now it's time to install the battery. For this, just take out the Allen key. There would be the way of, you know, the barrel removal, which is QD on this replica. I can show you that really quick. When I take off the mag. Now I can press this lever here and the whole barrel comes out. I can use this for battery installation, but I don't really recommend it because, you know, it's really hard to get your fingers in there, and so that's why I just take out the screws and you get access to a very sturdy and big battery compartment. When you insert the barrel, you will feel that it's a very snug fit. This is due to this O-ring that we added, and it's one of the contributors to the very solid barrel of the SSR249. Also, when you pull out the inner barrel, you will see that there is O-rings on the inner barrel that stabilize it on the outer barrel. So this whole combination of very stable outer barrel, stable inner barrel in the outer barrel, and a CNC hop-up chamber that can, you know, easily hop BBs up to 3 6-gram BBs with the Super Macaron. This is what gives you really the accuracy on the SSR249. So put a proper optic on this replica, because really you have the range and you have the accuracy. Don't think this is a spray and pray kind of product. I mean, you can use it like this, but you will spray and pray with accuracy, if that makes any sense. Before installing, you align the fin of the chamber with the bottom of the barrel, because only then you will have alignment of the feeding part of the magazine and the chamber. To make sure everything falls into place, just open the cover. At the very end of this installation, you will hear a click. This one right here, that's the lever clicking into place, and now the outer barrel is fixed again. In case you ever took out this barrel and, you know, you put it back in and something misaligned, what you want to do is you take out the feeder. You can also take out the magazine, and you just take a look on the inside here. You know, here's the feeding nozzle, and you make sure that it perfectly aligns with the chamber. If this is not the case, you will have to take out the barrel, which again, we don't recommend taking out the barrel because then these misalignments can happen. But if you did it anyways, and now you have to fix it, then just press this lever. You can now pull out the barrel. And here you have the chamber. What you want when you insert the chamber is that this bottom alignment knob is here in line with the bottom screws. So you can just look along them, make sure that's all in line, and then you insert the barrel again. When you push the barrel in, you can open the dust cover here for the mag well. And yeah, you can just take a look if the feeding tube of the chamber aligned with the feeding tube of the body. If it's not the case, you can take the barrel out again, you know, and just really make sure that it's all in place. Or you can also try to get in here with a barrel cleaning rod, just aligning it, and then you will not have feeding issues anymore. Next, we're gonna install battery, and here it's very important that you don't do it with the barrel removal. You could press this lever and pull out the barrel, but don't do that. If you take out the barrel and you reinstall it, you could misalign stuff. It can be, you know, of course, correctly aligned, but you don't want to go through the hassle every time of aligning stuff just when you change the battery. So what you want to do instead is you want to remove the hand guard. Now it's a very solid connection with 3 screws, which we wanted on an LMG, because you will have a front grip here and you don't want this to come loose in any way. For the handguard removal, you will need an Allen key that's included in the magazine textile pouch. So that's gonna be always on you. You know, don't lose it, just put it back into the dedicated loop right here. See, just put it right here. You take this Allen key and you remove, first of all, here this screw at the bottom. Keep in mind that there's screw glue on these 3 screws, because when this replica shoots, there's a lot of vibration and we don't want them to come loose. Now here, it really depends a little bit from gun to gun. It might be a little bit harder to open it or easier. Here on this one, it's easy, but if it's harder, there's multiple things you can do. You know, rather than applying a ton of force and maybe breaking something or, you know, stripping the screw head, you can just take a lighter or something and you just apply heat. Now everything here is steel or aluminum and anodized, so you don't have to worry about paint coming off or anything. There will not be any discoloring. So you can just apply the heat and then unscrew your screw. First one here at the bottom. Then we have one on the left side, one on the right side. And one on the other side. And now you should be able to just pull it off. You can start here in the front to use the leverage, and then you take it off in the rear. What can happen is maybe a part of the screw glue got between the surface of the handguard and here these rail supports, and that means that, you know, maybe you can take it off immediately. Here again, multiple ways. You can just apply heat again. So here in this area and this area, you just apply heat so that that glue basically gets liquid, and then you can just pull it off. If that's not enough, you can mount a front grip here to use some leverage, or you can just bump it a little bit either with your fist or, you know, with a rubber hammer. But it's quite the exception. However, we have seen some models where this is a bit harder to remove. Once you had it off once, this issue is not going to repeat, so it's just the first time that you remove it. Now we can install the battery. We do recommend a 3-stick because there's lots of battery space, and this one has the highest capacity of our batteries. You just plug it in, and yeah, you have plenty of space to just arrange everything, put it into place, and then assemble back on the handguard. You can also use a brick battery, and for this brick battery to not flop around, we include inside the packaging this Velcro. You can attach this Velcro onto the battery and the other side here at the bottom of the handguard, or, you know, wherever you want it to stick. And now you have a more solid connection between the battery and the replica, so it doesn't rattle around. For the 3-stick, we don't need it because it fills the space just right. Make sure all the cables are out of the way, so you can close the cover with no issues. Good, here we go. And you put back in the screws. Long one here in the middle. And short ones on the side. Now don't forget to put the Allen key back. It is a standard Allen key, so even if you would happen to lose it, you can just get a new one and put it back into this pouch, but just avoid that in the first place. There we go. And now we are ready to chrono. You have a crossbolt safety on this replica. So this is fire. And when you push it back here with your thumb, this is safe. Chronograph is over there. 1.44. 1.45, 1.44. All right. Field limit is 1.5 joules at full auto, so I'm gonna leave it right there. However, I still want to show you how you can actually change the spring on this replica, as it is I think a very cool and easy process. Spring's right here. That's the included 2 joule spring that comes with every 1.5 joule replica. To install it, very easy. You just unscrew, like in the very beginning, this thumb screw. You push out the pin, you fold down the stock. Here is a lever, and if you push this lever, the spring guide comes out through the back, and you can also pull out the spring. Then new spring goes inside. I'm not gonna do that because I need the 1.5 joule. Just put it back in. And there we go. Close it up. Then close the stock, push the pin through, which hopefully didn't lose, no? And screw it back on. So it's a true toolless quick spring exchange. Very convenient. You can easily do it in the field. You know, when you chrono, it's too hot. Just change the spring real quick and you're all good to go. So the battery is inside, it feeds, it shoots, all good. Next is gonna be accessories. Now, I personally really like the look of an Elcan optic on the 249. And when it comes to positioning, it really depends on how you run this gun. Now, these guys usually have a bit of a shorter eye relief, so I will mount it pretty much as far back as I can. that's gonna work for me because I'm gonna run this replica with an extended stock. Many people actually run these kinds of AGs with a collapsed stock, just like that. It kind of works. It's not really how you're supposed to run it, but if you do that, then make sure that you mount your optic a little bit further away, because otherwise you're gonna be touching the rear of your scope. I'll also go for a front grip. Here, this vertical one. It's just quite, it's on the heavier side. This is not your, polymer SSR9. So having a grip does help with handling the weight. There we go. And that's how I'm gonna run it. You also have the shoulder brace. So you can flip this up. This also helps with, the weight of the replica, because, it just rests on top of your shoulder. In case you want to run it more old school and with iron sights, which is definitely doable, you can just trace the trajectory of the BB and adjust. We do have the front sight adjustment tool. You just insert it here from the top and you can adjust the height of the front sight. As for the sling, I highly recommend running a sling when you have, such a heavy support AG. Also with padding. The normal, thin strap ones, they're not really cutting it. They're literally cutting into your shoulder. It's very uncomfortable. So we have here the universal one. Comes with the hooks. So right here you have the hook, and there is also the fabric around, so you don't have the noisy rattling. As for sling mounting points, there's here one in the rear. And then we have one dedicated one here in the front. And that's about it. You do not really need a plate carry, you don't need any mag pouches. I also believe that you don't really need a secondary necessarily. So that's one of the good things about these support AGs, that you just have that and that's it. Your protection equipment, your BDU, and you're all good to go. As for the sling, I think it's really important that you have padding here on your neck, because these can get really heavy and you want to be able to rest it in your sling. Also, bungees are very recommended, because when you walk, this can get your neck can get really tired on these guys. Here you have to be careful, however. Some bungees are way too weak, and as soon as you drop the weight of the replica into the sling, the bungees extend all the way and then they are pretty much useless. So get a sling with really strong bungees like the one we're offering. I do have to push the replica away from me to extend the bungees to all its extent, and it's almost a training to get it to full length. And that's how I'm gonna run it. I'm very excited to basically empty this whole massive magazine onto people. I'm very excited for the game, as it's a very different style of gameplay. If you've never been running LMG, definitely try it out. It's super fun. It puts you into a different mindset, because you're not limited on ammo. You are allowed to shoot full auto, and you're not just allowed to shoot full auto, you're actually supposed to shoot full auto. You can really suppress the enemy line, and it really helps your guys to push up, especially when you're on an elevation and you have the elevation advantage. It's just so much fun to just go and shoot. As for running it in game, this is the kind of AG that you don't constantly have up like this, when you for the whole game day, you just can't. They are too heavy. What I usually do is I have it down here. I am ready to fire if someone peeks around the corner all the time. And if I need to do more precise shots, I just bring up the gun and shoot. And you even see this in some videos on how people train with, real firearms. They actually start shooting down here to, get the bullets down range immediately. And then they bring it up and, have basically more control over their support weapon. Game is tomorrow. I'm really excited.
Nice try.
Ah, da hinten sehe ich sie.
What?
Okay.
Shit!
Oh shit.
Nice.
Be aware. Shoot some off this way. 10 position. Here. Mirror. Mirror. Wait. Take him. Oh fuck. Fuck.
Hit! Hit! Sweet.